as you will have heard, Israeli forces intercepted a flotilla of aid ships bound for Gaza in international waters off the coast of Crete. Around 175 activists have reportedly been detained, and indeed the President, Catherine Connolly, one of her sisters, Margaret Connolly, a part of the flotilla, although it is understood the ship she was on wasn't intercepted by Israeli forces, still sailing towards Greece. But there are growing concerns about the fate of one vessel, the Romantica, which is carrying Irish citizens, including the uncle of the Clarecastle Sinn Féin councillor, Tommy Guilfoyle, who joins us on the line. Tommy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan.
What can you tell us about your uncle, Martin Guilfoyle?
Martin Guilfoyle, obviously he's my father's brother. He would have lived in Clare for many years, in Kilmaley and further out to Kilrush Road then later on. And he subsequently moved back to Wales and is currently living in Wales. He joined the flotilla. He said to himself he's been marching for years and he wanted to do something. He wanted to show support and he wanted to break the siege and bring much needed aid to the Gazans who have been under the siege for near on 20 years. And after the genocide, there was nothing left in the country. So he made a step in his mid to late 70s. He has made the step, a brave step, and joined hundreds of other activists from all over the world to join this flotilla and bring aid to the human beings that are suffering under the genocidal hand of the Israeli Zionist forces.
Tommy, I just wonder how concerned you are for your uncle's safety, given reports that one boat may have been damaged, and also his age, and that activists have previously alleged inhumane treatment in detention. Are you at all worried about what may happen to those who are detained?
100%, Alan. I'm very worried. I'm very worried that international waters, a rogue state, can become pirates and board vessels and detain people in international waters. A state called Israel that has thrown the international law and international rules handbook into the bin and has been allowed to do so with pure impunity and no reactions or no real reactions whatsoever. There's no actions, no sanctions been imposed on Israel. Martin is a good, fit, honest-to-God man, a sailor all his life. He's well able to sail a boat, but they were lifted off the coast of Crete, which is hundreds of miles away from Palestinian waters or Israeli waters, and the fact that they were taken in international waters, and I feel is totally illegal. And I would ask the Irish government and the international community, including the European Union, to do all in this power to protect the citizens and the citizens, international citizens, but to condemn this action also, Alan. Yeah. This is wrong, in everybody's books, this is wrong.
Tommy, Israel's position is the flotilla was stopped before reaching Israeli-controlled waters, as you say. I mean, people will hear you using the word piracy, and some may say that's strong language, but this happened in international waters. There have been previous flotillas intercepted in international waters. On those occasions, there was no intervention from the international community. Do you fear that the same thing will happen here, that there won't be any pressure put on Israel?
Alan, there has to be. If anything, over the last 10 years, more and more people are aware of the Palestinian plight. And the international community cannot turn its back on it anymore. It can't turn around and say, oh God, we don't see what's happening. In international waters last night, I got a message to my phone that members of the flotilla were after being intercepted in international waters by the Israeli Defence Forces. Immediately then, everyone started contacting various embassies of Department of Foreign Affairs and Irish ministers. We've been in contact with people in the European Union, and we've been in contact with the embassy in Israel and the embassy in Greece, because they were in more or less off the coast of Greece and Crete.
And what kind of response, if any, have you been receiving through those various channels up to now, Tommy?
The response is receptive. They're acknowledging the fact. They're taking the names, and I represented the Irish citizens on board, and I mentioned the one that I knew was my uncle Martin, and I gave his passport number, etc. All them details were taken by the people who interacted with me, and I left messages on the phone to the embassies. But there has to be action, and the action has to be that all these people are kept safe and international law is honoured and respected, and that they're released immediately on arrival on land, and that condemnation of this act needs to come from all parties. Israel can't continue on being a rogue state, Alan, and no one condemns it down to the ground and imposes sanctions and stops diplomacy with it. The state is rogue. It has, according to numerous organisations, charitable and otherwise, it has inflicted genocide on the people of Gaza. You can see what's happening in the West Bank on your phone every day, Alan. People talk about, how did they not see this back in the 30s? We see this today. We see people being wiped off the map today by a rogue state, and no one can say they don't know what's happening because we see it on our phones. What happens in the West Bank on a daily basis, where people have been run out of their homes by settlers, illegal settlers, cars been burnt, kids been rolled over on the way to school. Alan, when do we say stop? Or do we just allow this continue on forever and then it becomes part of history and someone will say to you or me one day, what did you do about it?
And Tommy, there is an argument that, look, the flotillas risk escalating tensions or even putting civilians in harm's way. As you say, they're all anyone and everyone who chose to be part of the flotilla knows how previous flotillas have ended. They're well aware of the actions of Israel in the West Bank and Gaza, as you've highlighted there. So they're going into this with their eyes fully open. How would you respond to that criticism?
Criticism? That's an honour. That's a badge of honour. These people have the bravery to step on board a boat that may be intercepted illegally by a rogue state. That takes immense bravery, Alan. And the amount of support that's flowing into my phone and different WhatsApp groups for everybody on the flotilla and those who have been intercepted is second to none. And I just hope that the international community and our government and other governments can step up now, can step up and say stop to Israel, start imposing sanctions, start breaking down diplomacy until Israel comes around and stops acting in the manner it is, which is a rogue state, an apartheid state, a racist state and a genocidal state.
I just wonder, finally, Tommy, how you think this will play out, and what do you expect a strong diplomatic response from Ireland or even at EU level, given there has been disappointment certainly in how the EU has handled what's happened in Gaza and so on, and they've looked at the EU not sanctioning Israel in various aspects, but now it looks like the EU are ready to sanction Israel over a Russian vessel carrying stolen Ukrainian grain into the city of Haifa. And you could say cynics may look at that and say the EU hasn't intervened in terms of everything Israel has done, but when it comes to stolen grain, they're thinking about it. So can you really expect them to do anything in relation to this flotilla being intercepted?
It's incumbent on them to do everything they can, and these are international citizens, European citizens and Irish citizens. And if they're in trouble in any way, our government and other governments and the European Union, as we're a member of, have to stand up and do something. They have been taken in international waters, brought to a different country. If that was any other country that borders the Mediterranean Sea, there'd be uproar at the moment. The word piracy would be used, the word release would be used, the word release immediately, or further sanctions or further actions will be caused. That would be used right now if they were taken by a different country, say a North African country in the middle of the open sea. There would be condemnation international at the moment. But right now, all we have is this softly approach. I'm calling for condemnation from our Irish government and the European Union on these actions, and for the full release and safe passage of anyone that has been taken in international waters by Israeli Defence Force.
Well, we do hope all the activists, including your Uncle Martin, stay safe and are returned unharmed. Tommy, thank you for joining us on that this morning.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning.
That is the Clarecastle Sinn Féin councillor Tommy Guilfoyle with us in relation to his uncle being part of the flotilla intercepted in international waters off the coast of Crete by Israeli forces.